COP1 was held in Nassau in Bahamas. It was our very first conference of the parties. At that time, I was also a member of those who were preparing the meeting in Rio. So the framework was sustainable development, or environment and development. And that's why since the very beginning in COP1, that was my understanding. We were discussing at that time the three objectives of the convention, of course, and the entry into force of the convention made possible to link conservation, sustainable use, and fair and equitable distribution of benefits. This last objective has been, for me, the one that has brought my attention for these 20 years. And because of that, in COP8 in Curitiba, I was elected chair of, or co-chair of the negotiation process of what is now the Nagoya Protocol. And now, 20 years later, I'm still here, and I'm the co-chair of the Intergovernmental Committee that is in charge of preparing the entry into force of the Nagoya Protocol. So our expectation is this to happen in 2 years in COP12. So it's a long story. After the three objectives of the convention, in particular sustainable use and the fair and equitable distribution of benefits. And of course, it was a privilege always to find so many experts, knowledgeable people around from all countries or regions, and also to understand that the convention is not isolated. It's part of a neighborhood, and the neighborhood includes, of course, among others, the Climate Convention in terms of the three Rio Conventions and the Desertification Convention, but also those related because of biodiversity, those related to agriculture, for instance. The international treaty is very close to the convention, in particular to the Nagoya Protocol. And I also had the opportunity at that time to, in my country, in Colombia, to work together with other ministries, not only environment, but trade, development. And that's why I I think it was 1996, attending the agricultural meetings, including the plant genetic resource meetings. I invited also those who were attending those meetings to come to the CBD. So that helped a lot to understand that this is a convention that links different sectors, different ministries. It's a cross-sectoral, let's say, convention.
Would you say we are now entering the most crucial, the most exciting period of this convention's history? Because for the last 20 years you've been, I guess you might call it, building out capacities, working out a framework, developing targets, but we are coming to the point now, as the Executive Secretary said in a meeting this morning, we have 10 years to act, or it could all be over. So for the CBD and for people in your kind of position, we're entering that sort of critical phase. What for you are the key challenges that lie ahead in terms of implementation?
Well, as you say, as the Executive Secretary has said, and he has a very good point, this is the time for implementation. But implementation always implies means for implementation. That's the key. And means include, as everybody knows in this family, financial means, includes also something very important that is built capacity, and something else, which is what we call capacity development. And capacity development deals with the capacity of the country to produce knowledge, techniques, technical ways, and institutional ones to be able actually to make progress. Unfortunately, I would say that in the last 20 years, the situation has been worsening, and the speed, the way we are losing biodiversity is becoming very critical. And I agree that the next years, let's say 10 or even less, are the ones we have to do something, and that means to raise the awareness, as I was saying before, of the development sectors. And I think it's happening slowly, but it's happening. It's more and more part of the agenda of development now, and it has to be that way.
How would you assess the changing political atmosphere around these talks over the past 20 years? You come from a fascinating position, given you've been, I guess, on both sides, sort of working in a chair point of view, but also leading a delegation. How would you assess the political changes over the last 20 years and where that's left us today?
Well, in one sense, has been very positive. I would say the regional coordination has improved, and we have a very good example in the case of Africa. We follow that example because Africa has been working very hard in terms of coordinating themselves. Of course, the example of the European Union is another one. They have the conditions and the obligation among themselves belonging to European Unions to meet oftentimes. But I am thinking in the case of Africa because it's part of the developing world, and it's not easy because of many reasons to work together. And this is beginning to happen in other regions. And I think this regional approach helps a lot, because you can help those who are, for many reasons, not able to do the best they can, and get advantage of those who can. So, and in political terms, that is also very important, because allow positions and interests to be covered by regional positions. And of course, we also have the leadership of some countries, and this convention has been characterized for that type of leadership. Yes, we are 193 parties to the convention, but you always see that maybe a couple dozen countries are the ones who are always very well prepared and playing that role of leadership. And you can find those countries, unfortunately, in all regions. I'm also thinking in the very important role that now Asia is playing. You can see that China now is very involved. You can see India extremely interested in the convention, and the proof is being here in Hyderabad in COP11. And since the very beginning, Asia was important for all of us. And the second meeting of the Conference of the Parties was precisely in Indonesia, which is a very important country from the biodiversity viewpoint. And I would say also from the political viewpoint that the birth of the mega diverse countries play also a very important role in making this convention politically interesting.